show is AD on the radio. What?
Today on the show, we discuss how digital technology limited the death toll for Hurricane Harvey. Plus, Joel Osteen responds to his critics, and Funkhouser is dating a man?
Well, I know she identifies as a female.
Can't open. Worms everywhere.
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is a no, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So it's been absolutely crazy. I mean, the way things have played out this past week just gone by with Harvey. I have to imagine there's some sort of historical precedent that's been set for a number of different reasons, not least of which is the fact that, well, you remember how the last election, a lot of people said it was the first election in history to be won or lost on Facebook or Twitter. It was the first election that was really, truly, massively impacted by social media. Trump's whole rallying cry was, I don't need to spend money. I've got a bazillion Twitter followers, so I'm not taking money from special interest groups. You should vote for me. That was one of the rallying cries. And it did prove for a second that a potential president or a potential politician does not have to take a bunch of funding from special interest type to get where they're going. They just need a lot of Twitter followers and a big Facebook audience and all of the above. But I have to imagine the precedent that was set was this is the first real natural disaster to have played out on social media. And got to tell you, as much as you and I might have a problem with Mark Zuckerberg, and you and I might have a problem with the dehumanization of our culture through digital and social media, the mitigating effects on the death count in this situation, I wouldn't even know how you begin to count that, but it was absolutely record-breaking. Harvey dumped over 50 inches of rain. That's over 1 million gallons of water for every man, woman, and child in southeast Texas. And the rescues were just of a very different variety this time out. I woke up this morning. I woke up this morning. I had a tweet. Please help. Brother, family, trapped. People don't know they're there. I don't think people realize that it's flooded. They can't get anyone on the phone to help them. They're moving around as the water is getting higher. Somebody please help. On Twitter. And was able to get a beat on their location. And then through social media, I'd been talking back and forth with someone that had been doing independent rescues and then started working with Texas Search and Rescue, as well as the volunteer. Oh, God, do we love these people. The Louisiana Cajun Navy, who had come down, basically a bunch of civilians with boats who set out to save people and have been left, right, and center. It's just been absolutely incredible. But I was able to get in touch with him. He was able to dispatch Texas Search and Rescue and the Cajun Navy. And not so long afterwards, I heard they were safe on their way to a shelter, and more help was on the way for the other people that were stranded in their neighborhood. I hadn't even put on my underwear yet. And I'm not saying, oh, look at me. What did I... Not even close. Because the number of stories like that are just absolutely phenomenal. And it is a testament to a couple things. One, it's a testament to, all right, you know what? Just in case, get yourself a Twitter account. Get yourself a Facebook page. There might be a time where you really, really need it. Get yourself Zello. It's the walkie-talkie app that the Louisiana Cajun Navy advised everybody to get. And by day 2 of Harvey, I think everybody in Houston Zello app. And it's been absolutely invaluable. People have been able to drop pins into Google Maps and say, this is where we are, please help. Teresa, our midday personality at the Buzz in Houston, has been able to, all right, you're there. I've got someone who is, okay, I'm looking at Google Maps, like not so far away. Hang something white out the window. They're coming to get you out of your attic. And they did. I saw her save multiple lives in real time over Twitter. It's absolutely crazy. The other interesting thing was in the past, whenever I've been in any kind of emergency situation, whether they've been hurricanes, I had a couple of those when I was growing up in England, whether it was 9/11 in New York City, whether it was hurricanes once I moved to the Gulf Coast, whether it was some of the wildfires that I've been around in California. The company line for all the authorities has been, stay where you are, help is on the way, we're going to get someone to you as soon as we can. In this situation, they went, whoa, this is a remarkable amount of rainfall. There's people out there with boats. They're going to be doing this whether we like it or not. And very sadly, I think there were people who lost their lives attempting to rescue folks. But for the first time that I ever remember in history, the authorities were like, we need all the help we can get. If you've got a boat, be careful, but please, we need all the help we can get. And because of that, I have to believe so many lives were saved. It's amazing.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, maybe you've been to Houston, maybe you're in Houston, maybe you've never been to the Gulf Coast area ever. Doesn't matter. The connection that the people of America and the people of the world should feel with what happened in that region over the last several days, the connection should be an important one that we all of us pay attention to for a couple of reasons. One, like we were saying, the digital effort to locate and rescue people, tremendously effective. My friend's husband got out in his flat-bottom boat and in the course of less than a day rescued over 100 people from their homes. Just a guy with a boat that was able to find folks through social media. And that aspect of it, take note. Even if you don't, an emergency is likely to happen, a natural disaster, a coastal town, a place that's prone to earthquakes or wildfires or whatever. You just never know. And it really couldn't hurt. And I'm not encouraging you to spend your entire life on social media, but in an emergency situation, these things could be very, very important. And then the other thing that I hope we all of us take note of, I hope we all take note of the fact that, oh my gosh, the level of compassion and caring and putting aside differences and doing for our fellow human beings was unlike anything that I've ever seen in my life, even when I was in New York, living through 9/11. And I think a big part of that was the fact that people didn't feel helpless. People felt like they could make a contribution. People felt like they could help. People felt like they could make a difference, and they did. And I think a lot of that has to do with, the digital technology and all of the above. And it's kind of a beautiful thing because it empowered people to go do stuff that they couldn't otherwise do. J.J. Watt, football player, Houston Texans, who set out to raise $200,000, blew through that goal in about 45 minutes, I think. And that goal's been growing and growing. I love to tell you how much he's raised so far, but every time you turn around, there's another $500,000. There's another $1 million. By the time you hear this, whether it's because of a natural delay in the broadcast process or if you're listening to it in a different town, well, it might be very, very different. But the goal is now, the goal's now $15 million, and he's at $12 million of that through this crowdfunding page that he set up.
We started out on Sunday with the goal of raising $200,000, and we just now surpassed the $10 million mark. I'm going to leave the link open. We're going to see how high we can get it. I can't say thank you enough. Celebrities, musicians, athletes, kids with their lemonade stands, and people hosting fundraisers, businesses donating. I cannot thank everybody enough. What's happening right now is my focus is very much on getting this money directly back to the people, as I've said the whole time. We have the semi-trucks being filled up as we speak, coming down here to donate the supplies this weekend. That's phase one. That's going to be the first phase of our operation to get as immediate of an impact as we can. We have things like water, food, clothing, generators, baby supplies, cleaning supplies. But if there's something I'm not thinking of, please leave it in the comments, because we want to make sure that we get these people exactly what they need so we can help rebuild as quickly as we can. Houston, we're thinking of you. Thank you to everybody who's donated. Absolutely.
It's an amazing and beautiful thing. And this is powerful. This is an elderly African-American woman in Port Arthur, Texas, who is in a very bad spot. Listen to what she says.
Sarah is one of the evacuees. Her daughter is on dialysis. Sarah, you said you walked out of your home, took 2 boats, and now you're here with your daughter. What is running through your mind?
Right now, I'm just grateful for the community to step in to get us this far. We were at a location that we wasn't able to move, and the Spanish family helped us from there with their boat to bring us to 9th Street. From 9th Street, there's another Spanish family that brought us to St. Mary. At that time, we got in. I couldn't get an answer from my husband or granddaughter. I walked back home, and they were okay. So I walked back. As I was walking back, I was asking for help through the helicopters, but they were only bringing evacuees back that was on rooftop. From that point, there was a family, I noticed the name, Mr. William Carroll, that brought me back after I asked for help to St. Mary's and brought me to the point where I was able to catch another boat to get to Memorial. From Memorial, we were able to get to the ambulance to get to the medical center.
And your daughter is in the ambulance right over here. You're
That's
waiting
correct.
for her to be transported to a hospital, and you said you would do anything for your daughter in this situation.
Yes, right. Not only my daughter, but my family would come first. I would do it for anyone that needed help if I'm able to help.
And how do you feel right now standing on dry land?
I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that the community come together. No race, no color, no prejudices any kind of way, just willing to help as a Christian person.
Thank you, Sarah. We wish you very well and your daughter well.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I'm grateful the community came together. No race, no color, no prejudice, just help. That's the takeaway. That is absolutely the takeaway, not only for the Gulf Coast region, not for Texas, not for Louisiana, not for America. That is a takeaway for the world. We're not a color of skin. We're not an age, a race, or a religion. But we are all in it together.
Money making, skills on the mic, give me paid every day, and for part of the battle, just bow down, better act like you know.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on.
So anytime there's a natural disaster, you always hear about churches opening up their doors to evacuees. In Houston, the mosques helped as well. This is MJ Khan, the president of the Islamic Society of Greater Houston.
It is not just adults, healthy males, females who are there. These are elderly people. They are young kids, babies. So everybody has a different kind of need. Especially people who are coming for supplies are the ones who are not of Islamic faith, and many of them never have stepped into a mosque. And, when they come, they just are overwhelmed with the love and care they're receiving at the mosque. our volunteers are just eager to help, and even after 6-8 hours, I ask them to take turns, and some of you should sit and rest and sleep. And no, uncle, don't worry about it. We can sleep when these people are in their homes. It's really bring tears to my eyes.
CNN's Drew Griffin saved a guy's life in real time on TV. He was doing a live report in Beaumont, Texas, which is, I guess, probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Houston, and a great town, an energy town full of people that I used to be. I don't think I was ever on the radio in Beaumont, but I think that, I had a TV show, and the TV show was on in Beaumont. I used to get the greatest feedback from the folks in Beaumont. I used to go there every once in a while and say, what's up? And I used to do music reporting for the Fox News affiliate out there. But CNN's Drew Griffin doing a live report in Beaumont, Texas. Check this out.
Look at this. Get out, dude. You got a power cord? Buddy, come on, get up out of that water. No, don't fall backwards. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We got a car in a ditch. We just pulled a fellow out.
I want to thank these guys for saving my life. Thank you.
Where are you from, buddy?
Winnie, Texas.
Winnie, Texas. So you guys have been hit pretty hard in Winnie, Texas.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Jerry Summerall.
Jerry, somebody needs to come and get you.
I'm staying at the motel right up here.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Pastor Joel Osteen got some heat this week on social media because he didn't open up his church to flood victims until Tuesday, even with all the people out there that were in need. His building used to be where the Houston Rockets played, the Compaq Center. It holds almost 18,000 people. And yesterday, he went on the Today Show to defend himself. He said the church would have opened up, but the city didn't ask.
Our church doors have always been open. In fact, we took people in right when the water started to recede, which was just a day or two after the big storm hit. But we worked very closely with the city. 4 miles down the road, the city established its biggest shelter with room for thousands, with beds, with kitchen supplies, with everything they need, security. They didn't need us as a shelter right then. And we coordinate with them all the time. If we needed to be a shelter, certainly been a shelter right when they first asked, but once they filled up, never dreaming we'd have this many displaced people, they asked us to become a shelter, and we said, hey, we'd love to be a shelter. That's what Lakewood is all about. But I think if people were here, they'd realize there were safety issues. This building had flooded before, and so we were just being precautious. But the main thing is the city didn't ask us to become a shelter then.
So, man, people were really going after him hard, though, because I think that they'd said on Facebook, hey, we're not open now due to flooding and safety issues. We wish you well. If you want to donate, you can donate here. And it was a link where you could donate directly to the church. It wasn't through the American Red Cross. It wasn't through some sort of rescue organization. It was the money going straight to them. Now, hear me on this one. Many, many people in Houston love Joel Osteen, love Lakewood Church, love everything they stand for, and they've definitely been involved in the community. But yeah, definitely getting a certain amount of side eye, especially because they're a church. All that money's tax free. But I bring this up not to take a shot at Joel Osteen and Lakewood Church. I bring it up to say, hey, the cool thing is, another example. Thousands upon thousands of people are currently holed up after having been displaced and evacuated, and now they're there. Doors have been opened to them. I don't know if this is my... I love this story. I love this. There's a Mexican bakery. It's called El Bolillo Bakery. And the workers from El Bolillo Bakery, they were stranded for 2 days during Harvey. They were stuck in the bakery. So what'd they do? Did they panic? Did they try and get out? Did they sequester themselves and just worry until it was over? No. They used the entire time. They baked night and day. They baked bread. They baked pan dulce, so it would be ready for first responders the moment they had an opportunity to pass it on. They said when they realized they were stuck, they decided to keep themselves busy and help the community and made as many loaves of bread as they could. By the time the owner managed to get to them, they had made so much bread that they'd taken the loaves to loads of emergency centers across the city for people affected by the floods. We don't know exactly how many loaves they made, but they used almost 4,500 pounds of flour. So if you're in or around Houston, when all is said and done, let's go get some cake at El Bolillo Bakery. There's just story upon story upon story of this sort of thing. And people have lost all. People have lost absolutely everything. I heard from a friend of mine today who was like, I'm not having the best of days. I was like, no, are you safe? Are you dry? And they're like, yeah, I'm at work because I got to keep my mind busy. But this is a picture of my home. That's not where it usually is. Thing was completely underwater. I think the roof had been lifted off and it was floating not far from it. I was like, oh, that's terrible. Did you own or did you rent? She was like, I own it. But it's a house that's been in my family for years. It's the home that I grew up in. And then I bought it from my parents. Heartbreaking. So many people lost absolutely everything. Lives have been saved, but the financial devastation is estimated to be in the billions. And the death count does continue to rise. She'll be okay. We'll all be okay. She's doing the right thing. She's getting back to it. She knows, like people in these regions know, that getting back to it as individuals, as people, your simple act of going to work and doing your job. It is that happening together that's going to start the repair, start the rebuilding of things that have been lost, like her family's home. It is the collective effort of everybody in that region who are taking it upon themselves to go, all right, I don't have power at home, I don't have a home, but I'm going to go to my job and do some stuff. I can't do anything about that, but I can do something about the rest of it. I can help. I can get back to it. I can basically go back to being a productive member of society that's going to help our town recover. Everybody has that power as an individual. And when it's harnessed as a whole, it is just such an absolutely unbelievable thing. Again, a reminder, and this whole week has been a reminder of the fact that as Americans, our greatness lies in us remembering when it really counts that no one can help everyone, but everyone can help someone. Oh, all right. Okay. It's been a lot of doom and gloom, a lot of disaster. Oh, I get there was one other thing. Of course. Please donate. You can donate very easily. If you go to this radio station's website, you can make a donation to the American Red Cross. Or if you want to, look, a lot of people get concerned when they donate exactly where money is going to. And I can't speak for him, but over and over again, in every single update that he's made about the money that's going to be raised, J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans, who set up an original goal of $200,000, now raised over $11 million, I think it is, last time we checked. He keeps saying over and over again, going to do everything I can, going to work. We're right now working very hard to make sure that this money goes directly to the people. And so if you're looking for a clean way to distribute money to folks in need, that might be it. I don't know. You can go to the Red Cross. You can go to the J.J. Watt's You Caring page. There's all sorts of places, all sorts of people that need help. But, yeah, go ahead and help. It's a really good feeling. Fall Out Boy. Fall Out Boy are playing Houston in November. They're donating all the profits to hurricane relief. Solange Knowles, she's donating concert proceeds too. Mark Hoppus from Blink-182 is offering prizes to fans who donate clothing. There's a lot of people that need clothing. So Mark Hoppus from Blink-182 is it's called I Cleaned Out My Closet for Houston. Okay, Funkhouser, quick, let's talk about something else before I start crying on the air again. It's the level of compassion that's on display. It's impossible not to have it get you. Ugh. Yeah. All right.
Man, well, I'm on the other end of things, trying to date women.
All right.
Trying to avoid the television at all costs.
How?
I went on a date with one last night. The second date, I don't think she enjoyed herself.
What would you?
Well,
how do you know she didn't enjoy herself?
I thought things were going.
What did you do?
I thought things were going well, so I'm trying to think back and like when her personality kind of changed a little bit, and I think it was. Well, you know,
what were you talking about?
Small talk and stuff, and I told her that I think it was the moment when I told her about the difference between AM and FM radio that her face changed a little bit. You know, in the beginning, she was asking.
That's so boring.
Supporting questions.
Boring. But wait, hold on. How many dates have you been on?
This is the second, number 2.
Is she like a scientist or something? Like, would she be interested in, well, when it's frequency modulated, it's like this, and when it's amplitude modulated, you know, I get Funkhouser. It's the most unnecessary, irrelevant piece of information ever. I only learned the difference between FM and AM radio. I mean, technically speaking, like obviously AM's crackly and thin, FM is bold and not crackly, whatever. I only actually learned frequency modulation.
I'm fighting
and
the urge to correct you.
After I think 7 years in radio was when someone that explained to me. And you know what? I could have gone my entire career not knowing it and been fine. So you breaking out that piece of information on a second date?
Yeah, I can't remember how it came up, but it did.
Yeah, how did it?
I can't recall. Just there I was in front of the chicken sandwich talking. See, AM radio's on the ground, see. It goes out and...
All right. Tell me like you told her. Tell me like you told her the difference between AM and FM radio.
Well, so FM's on top of a mountain, see, and it works kind of like an umbrella. It's like a light bulb, and you need to be able to sort of be near it to hear it and see it.
Boring.
And then she's asking me,
I'm in this profession. I don't know the information you're giving me, and I'm so bored already. I mean, it's just,
I wasn't aware that it was as boring as it was until...
Was there just like a really lousy lull in the conversation and you just had to, well, you know...
I mean,
frequency modulation is like an umbrella.
Because historically, I guess that's my go-to conversation starter, which I will change now.
Tell me about her. Tell me about her. What's she like? What does she do? What's
she's an artist. She's got
another
glasses.
arty chick.
And
all the artsy chicks. Funkhouser. If this is the first time you've heard us talk about Funkhouser's dating life on the air, they're always arty. They're not artists, but they're involved in some sort of art type thing. Maybe the production of art in a commercial sense, or perhaps they're like a gallery curator, or they're all artsy something, and it never goes well.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Radio 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
You know, thinking about it, Funkhouser.
You know, we're on both now, AM and FM.
Yeah, we are on both AM and FM. Thinking about this. Thinking about your dating history of having gone out with artistic females. And you think you might have blown it with this one by needing... when you're faced with a gap in the conversation... You told her the difference between AM and FM radio and gave her technical descriptions of these things. here's the thing. You're a professional conversationalist. Like, you do this for a living. You talk on the radio. People are amused by it, and sometimes you get money for it. Like, it's proven time and time again that you are an interesting person to listen to, and you broke out that little nugget of information.
Well, it wasn't the only thing.
Has she gotten back to you, or do you think you're going?
Yeah.
Did she get back?
She texted me. Look at that.
Oh, apparently the all the hot talk of frequency modulation. Apparently, her got her nether region singing "Sweet Virginia." There you go. But okay, so she's something arty. What is she?
Well, she's unemployed right now. She's getting a job, and she told me all about this. She's worried. 2 weeks ago, she smoked a joint with her friend, and she has to take a drug test, and so she bought synthetic urine. And still doesn't think she'll pass because she didn't shake it.
Hold on. All right, Funkhouser, are you breaking out the difference between frequency and amplitude?
This is where the conversation went. You know, you don't choose your
I get
adventures. You're the adventures.
I'm just saying. Your conversational skills may be forgiven, bearing in mind that on a second date, she told you she was purchasing clean synthetic urine so she wouldn't fail a drug test for her new job. That
was on the first date.
You two might be made for each other. So,
it's the same thing over and over and over again.
Send me a picture.
Okay. There.
She appears, she's Asian, right?
Yeah, she's half Korean.
And I bring this up not because I bring this up not for any
she
other
mentioned
reason
that that was a lot of the conversation too about how her parents met. She's a Buddhist, and her parents met in a Buddhist temple. And
well, what's very interesting to me is that the 2, 3, I don't know. Since I've known you for like the last few years, you've been in a couple of long-term relationships with girls that all have very similar professions and have looked a lot like each other. And I can confidently say this is the Asian version of your last two girlfriends. Like literally the same thing with a slightly different ethnic makeup. Like it's uncanny how I need to find something different. She's Asian, never done that. Oh, she's the Asian version of everything that you've been with in the past. So they're all arty. They're not artists, but they're RT, right?
I guess so. Is that what I smell like in real life? Like, do I smell like a person that attracts art people? Because it seems that way. I can't get out of this circle.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, you live and you date in Los Angeles, California, where a lot of creative people go to make a go of it.
Yeah, 50% of the girls look like that.
I could never, and it seems so absolutely hypocritical of me to say so, but I couldn't date an artist. Like I couldn't. I could not.
That's your deal breaker.
No, and look, I was a guy in a rock band in a way. I mean, in the loosest sense possible, that was art. That was like the bottom in terms of social edification. I was on the very bottom rung of the artistic ladder. So it's hypocritical of me to say this, but maybe it's just because I've been around so many artists and musicians my whole life. Like, if they manage to take their artistic nature and turn that into a job, the way all the girls that you've dated have been, cool. But the idea of actually dating, what do? I'm an artist. And you know what? It's
just like that other girl I went on a date with that was probably a girl.
What?
You remember we talked about question? That? Not on the radio, but
right. The potential Adam's apple. Yeah. She
artist and another artist.
Did you ever figure? Did you ever figure?
I think so. I mean,
so?
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure.
You think?
I mean, there's still a question mark there.
Think she might be packing?
Well, I mean, there's no pictures of her as an early adult online or anything, which is okay. And I don't know, man. Things are put together, so it's hard to tell. But yeah, they all look the same. Sure, I have a type, I guess.
Apparently, they might not all look the same south of the equator. All right, let me ask you this. If it does turn out... I want to be very, very careful about how I say this, because there's a real sociological question here, as opposed to any kind of sort of like circusy type situation. Suppose she had been a he. Suppose she was partially equipped with the tackle one usually associates with a male. Which of these scenarios, if any, would be a deal breaker for you?
A deal breaker?
Yeah.
Well, you've thrown a lot of options at me, and
all right, it's really only two options. One option is...
Well, at what point am I discovering this? Is it
looks like a girl with clothes on?
Yeah.
South of the equator, equipped like a man.
I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. Probably not.
That's something you wouldn't do.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's conditional. I think everything in life's conditional. I'm not actively searching for them, what you've explained, but in your scenario that you've just created,
all right,
and I'm at the end of the line there, sliding through home plate, and I'm like, ooh, that would have to be a decision I would make on the fly. I would think.
There might not be a home plate to slide into, if you know what I mean.
Okay, in that scenario, then probably not.
Okay, but what if it was the other thing? The other sort of more...
I mean...
The other... Say there was a home plate to slide into, but in the past, there was not. What then? I'll need an immediate answer.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So, are you...
Boy, this is a real uncomfortable show.
Well, for you, for everybody else, is very, very interesting. I think you're very, very evolved the way you're talking about this in a sophisticated, intelligent 2017 type of way. I mean,
would you run out of the room screaming? If it was at a point where it was like 199% believable. I guess 80% believable.
Well, okay, so I mean, look, if south of the equator was still manly in appearance, no way. That's not, can't, and there's, hey, look, far be it for me to judge anybody for anything, but that is not for me.
Yeah, well, also, in your scenario, I've thrown all the caution to the wind. Like, I would know more about the person before I dove in, and, I would have probably discovered that early on. That's not something I would be surprised by.
If they had started life as a male, and it was impossible for me to tell that they'd started life as a male, but I knew that, I still wouldn't be into it. And look, I've never had this situation happen. Like,
what if you found out afterward?
I still wouldn't be into it, and for the reason, I mean, for any number of reasons, but foremost in my mind, I have a biological imperative to reproduce. I would like to, at one point in my life, have a child. I think that would be a cool thing, and in a Cro-Magnon-esque sort of way. And I believe in adoption. I believe in... There's so many kids in this world that don't have anything or anyone. And it's so criminal to me that it is difficult that there's people on this earth that want more in the world than anything else to give a child a loving home. And there are so many barriers between them and a kid that needs a home. And I am all for, 100 million% all for adoption. I think, look, obviously, this is the life of a child. There should be significant hoops to jump through before you entrust that child to someone else to raise it as their own. But I really wish it could be an easier, less costly thing for people that want to give a kid with nothing and no one everything and a loving household. I get that. I love that. I'm all in favor of that. But there is a certain kind of, I think, Cro-Magnon knuckle-dragging impulse that you have oftentimes where, especially if you're really, 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 really into someone, where you go, I would like to see something that is half me and half you running around. So from that standpoint, straight out the gate, it's a big no for me. But I got to tell you, while it's a big no for me, I actually, through a sort of a friend of a friend, has been through this situation where it was husband and wife, and this is late. They'd been together for years and years and years, and is now wife and wife. And I don't think this has been easy for either of them, but they're still together. And I think the nicest way I ever heard it expressed was, that's my person. It kind of doesn't really matter, like all the external stuff. That's secondary, and lots of it is really important, but that's my person. I chose them to make my way in this world, and I'm going to continue to make my way in this world with them because that's my person. So there you go. Funkhouser.
Okay.
I think,
well, way to save yourself out of that question, by the way, because you started by saying if you couldn't tell, if you couldn't tell, and then you went into saying that you couldn't because of all the things. But if you couldn't tell, if you didn't know until, let's say, months go by, you're in this fully fledged, committed relationship with the woman of your dreams. And then
she turns out
she's got you 2 tickets to the Steve Wilkos show because she has something she has to tell you.
I don't know who Steve Wilkos
Jerry
is, so
Springer.
already I'm already thinking that she's not a very good match for me, and I should probably get that. Oh, really? If she's buying me tickets to go see Jerry Springer's Bouncer live, then I know this is the person that is wrong for me. No, I think that would be. Look, you never know until you're in that situation, and I never want to be closed-minded, and I certainly don't want to judge what works for other people, but I think that would be a deal breaker for me. It would. Maybe that's knuckle dragging and Cro-Magnon and unevolved of me to say so, but I think it would just not work for me walking around with that piece of information. That would be something that I wouldn't want. And for that reason, for any number of reasons, but like the whole sort of like, I'd like you to be a mother to my biological child. It's like I said, it's that Cro-Magnon urge to go out and reproduce. That.
So you're saying I should call that girl back then?
Which one?
I don't know. Both of them.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Why not?
So
I'm just curious now. I think we got to get to the bottom of the situation. So to speak. And I would like to know, although really, it's no business of yours unless you're in a committed relationship with this person, or unless you're considering a committed relationship with this person, what they started life as and the choices that they made. That's their thing, not your thing. Although I think it would be only polite. There should be a certain amount of disclosure. I wonder at what point, what is the point at which you would feel she needed to tell you that? Let's say there was no way you could look at her and tell when she was naked.
When is the time right to reveal such a...
Yeah, like if she started off life as a male.
I don't know.
At what point would you say, you couldn't have told me this when we blank? Any ideas?
I mean, is there an answer to this?
And open, worms everywhere. Again, pun absolutely intended.
That's how it...
Hey, look, it's 2017. This is the year that we live in. These are the conversations that people are having. And I think as much as you might be uncomfortable having them, or as much as someone might be uncomfortable listening to them, it's sort of, look, again, and we always come back to this. We always come back to this. Gender dysphoria, which I think might have become a politically incorrect term, but it's hard to keep up with this sort of stuff. But gender dysphoria, feeling as though you should have been born a different sex, feeling uncomfortable in your own skin, unnatural in your own skin, whatever it is. If you are straight guy or a straight girl, the suicide rate, the attempted suicide rate is, I think, 4 or 5%. If you're gay or bisexual, that jumps to, I think, somewhere between 11 and 15% attempted rate of suicide. If you are someone who is confused about the idea of gender and gender identity, if you have gender dysphoria or whatever the politically correct term might be, well, that attempted suicide rate jumps up to almost 50%, and that's not okay. And so these conversations that people have started having, look, Caitlyn Jenner, I didn't like Caitlyn Jenner when Caitlyn Jenner was Bruce Jenner. I think Bruce Jenner was a lousy person. I think Caitlyn Jenner's a lousy person. I think that this whole, she's so beautiful now. You can tell that she was absolutely meant to be a woman. She went out and bought a new head that's like $1.5 million worth of plastic surgery. I find her, the same way I found him, to be just this narcissistic, contemptible individual that takes away rather than adds to the level of value in society. But the very, very public way in which Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner, I thought was cool because of that number, that 50% attempted suicide rate. Anything we can do to normalize the situation, to let people know that if you have those feelings, you don't have to be one of the 50% that attempts to end your time on this earth. Anything that gets that number down, that makes people go, that's not me and they're not hurting me, therefore I don't have to worry about it. That's a good thing. Yep, that's what I think. All right, Funkhouser.
Okay, so I should
bearing
call
all
her
this
back
in mind. If you want, sure.
You know, the
Don't
first
want
girl
to?
I was talking
Don't.
about, I invited her to 626 Night Market this weekend. And it's
What's that?
it's like an Asian marketplace at night where they do music and food and things.
Wait. She's Asian and you invited her somewhere Asian?
Well, I'm going there anyway.
Were you really? Mm-hmm. Is she going to buy that? That's like dating a Chinese girl and being like, well, why don't we go to, the Golden Dragon? Your people's buffet is there.
No.
Like, you're not seeing how this might be. Did you tell her this is where you're going?
Uh-huh.
But you see how this might be a scotch presumptuous on your part,
Look,
right?
Why?
I invited you into my world. I explained amplitude modulation. So why don't you explain how to eat these things over here? Is that the idea?
No, absolutely not. It's a thing that happens just randomly. But I understand that it would be a little bit... Listen, this was afterwards, after I saw her eyes glaze over at what I was talking about with all the tech. I knew that something had gone terribly wrong when she's like, I'm okay with this water. Thanks. No to-go box for me.
Yeah, no drink, no wine. I think if you are on a date that your date thinks is bad, I think alcohol is a pretty good way of gauging it. Because either they're going to start slamming shots so you're less boring and the whole thing is less painful for them, or they're going to be like, yeah, I'm fine with the water, so that they can go home as soon as possible. But hey, she texted you back, and you have another date. Some might say a bit of a racially insensitive date on your part, but a date nevertheless. There's a new dating app, Funkhouser, and I like this for you.
Okay.
There's a new dating app.
Okay.
And it doesn't want people to make snap decisions based on someone's pictures.
I wonder how many art girls are there.
Well, they want you to have to waste like 5 minutes talking to them. Then make a snap decision based on their picture. The app is called Taffy. Are you familiar with this? Do you have this?
Mm-mm.
You should download it now on the air and see how that goes.
I would.
The app
lose
is
you.
called the app is called Taffy, and when you're browsing through people's profiles, you can only see their name, age, and a headline. You can't see their picture until after you've sent about 10 messages back and forth. The goal is, of course, to make it so people's personalities are worth as much as the way they look. Will it work?
Whoa.
Not to make a snap judgment without more discussion, but I'm a little skeptical. Like, I mean, that's the thing. That's the Cro-Magnon biological imperative. You know, I mean, there's all sorts of wonderful things that you could look for in a potential partner or mate or all of the above. But to begin with, for me, and maybe this is a little knuckle draggy on my part, but I got to think you're hot. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, this is just like ugly people dating app. It sounds like
not necessarily. This could be extremely hot person dating app.
All right.
It's so funny because I got to tell you, I'm so disappointed by so many people that I would expect better from. Oh my gosh, we're out of time.
That's it.
But I think this could be good for people that are extremely good looking, because the way my adult male friends that should know better change when a woman is extremely attractive, and how they talk about her and how they think about her is completely out of whack. And, look, obviously being beautiful, not a bad way to go through life, but I always feel like immediately when a beautiful woman walks into a room full of my guy friends, they're diminished, and that's a shame. So maybe this is good for pretty people too, Funkhouser.